Good morning, everyone. So we have already started the unit 4. So these are the points. I think slides are visible to you, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, already we have discussed so far few basic commands of the process, like the PS command to tell about the process status, PS tree to display all hierarchies of the processes, the job command to discuss about all the jobs, whether it is foreground or a background jobs, how to terminate the jobs, how to kill the process, then no hubs, that means running, ignoring any kind of hang up signals, nice, re-nice, and your top command. These are the all screenshots we already discussed. To anything detailed you get about the PS command, you write the PS command with the options kill PS tree. If you want to kill all the processes, then kill all. And to check out the resources on the system, then you have to use the top command. Fine. So these are the various commands like Control-C to kill your foreground jobs, Control-Z to pause your foreground jobs, to get all the jobs, see the pictures of all the jobs. You can list all the current jobs by the command called jobs. If you want to kill any process deliberately, then kill command and the process ID. If you want to kill all the jobs and all the processes, then kill all and they're explicitly named. Similarly, PS to show all the running processes regardless of how they were started. Then the foreground, every job or every process has a number. So bring the job number into the foreground. Similarly, background BG %N, run the job number in the background. Program ampersand start program in the background, and no hub program, run the program in the background so it will not stop if you log out. Std out and stdr are the redirect to the file no hub out. Advanced users might look at the screen of instead that one. Then we have discussed about the PS commands with all the options. You have checked it out this one. These are various options to kill. This is the command. Similarly, user specific PS command is also there. Then with the A option to check out all the processes which are active processes and to check the processes which are on that terminal. So terminal name, that is your PS command, and the PS with the A option with this. Similarly, sleep command to put a system on a pause. And these are the other options like to print all terminal processes -A, -E with all your current processes, and these are the various list. Kill command, this is a screenshot of your PS tree. Like for example, if you're using the PS tree, you write the command PS tree and you will get the screenshot of hierarchies of the processes. Who is at the root, who is the parent, how many child processes, how it works. So that is the tree structure. Top command discuss about your resource allocation. It tells about the system resources, how the processes are taking up the system resources and display the processes and the one who are using most of the system resources. Then we discuss about the process in a program. I've discussed this one also, that what do you mean by a program and what do you mean by the process. Fine. By the PST command, you can able to see all the list of programs and their hierarchies, and any new process is created by your system call. We'll discuss few system calls are there, and one of them is your fork. And all your system processes is run, all your processes in the system, these are all descended from your kernel. So kernel will take care of your processes which are initiated either in the foreground, in the background, or user-defined processes. Now, a process is an execution program with several components and properties. The process has various properties like as a PID, PPID, parent ID, file descriptors, environmental variables, One process can be divided into a child process by a system that is called as a system call. That is a function call is called as forks. Fine. It pointing to the same pages of the memory and making the area as read as possible. System has a one execute the new command and copyright and thus copying the new area of the memory. A process execute without forking and child maintains the process ID of the parent, that is your PPID. Then two other commands I tell you about, the nice command and the renice command. By default, the nice command has a priority 0. By default, the priority is given, the default priority is 0. You can change it to any. So you can give the positive number. Up to 20, you can give allocate any process. For example, you want that VI file to be open in the, one of the file is my file. It has to be open in your VI. Then the priority is plus 13. Similarly, this renice, this for renicing using command, either you have to be a root user or a kernel, and root users can change it to a negative value. Negative value means higher priority. The more negative value, the more priority is given to run that project in the scheduling. So the first is that it has two actually values. One I've tell you already about dynamic value and one is the fixed value. Fixed value is occasionally explicitly changed by the user, that is called the niceness, and one is a dynamic value that is changed by the kernel, and that is called as your process priority. So renice command is either to use the priority, re-alter the priority of the running process. Default nice value is 20, range is -22 plus, and you can check the process long information by using the command ps-l. Lower the value, the faster the process run. And lower value you cannot allocate unless until you are a user or a kernel. Plus 20 you can rearrange by a nice value. So this is the command for the nice, nice -20, and this is your process name or a process ID. Either you can use the ID or either you use the number. Fine. Setting the priority of the process, nice -20 is the maximum priority. Only administrative user can assign these priorities. Nice 20 is a minimum priority. So you can be a root to give that higher priority. Similarly, renicing, changing the priority of an existing command, you may use the option U for the specific user. If you want to change and if you want to change the priority of any explicit user, you can use the U command to change the process priority of that process ID. This being discussed. This is the PS command and the fine PS3 we have discussed. Kernel, I'll tell you about that is a kernel user space and a kernel user space and a kernel space, and they are actually one is a kernel function. These are the all functions which is done by your kernel. User space, all applications and libraries, and kernel space has these functions like file management, inter-process communication, IO, fundamental process, everything. This is a diagram of your kernel already been discussed, all the functions like memory management, kernel space, file management, protection, and these are the commands which are run, which is written by the users in the user space, and these are run by the kernel and interacted with the hardware. Fine. Then Linux architecture already been to protect the data and functioning from the fault and unwanted access. Linux has a virtual memory which is divided into two parts, user space and your kernel space. This is same, your application area, C library, which are you using it, and this is the kernel area. User space has a time already being discussed, that a time multiplex and a classic processors, and kernel has a thread executions. They do not deal with the processes. It's the user who deal with the processes. Kernel deals with the threads. So threads is that these are all active processes, separately processes. Fine. So process table I'll discuss already. The process management process table is managed by your kernel, and each process table has a one line per entry process. That per process per data entry. Fine. One process with details of everything. it will have. Then the kernel maintains the information about each process, and fine. And for that one, it uses a data structure called task structure. So kernel maintains information about each process in the form of your data structure, and the name of data structure is task structure. And you will find that task structure in that path, in that include folder, Linux, and scheduling .h file. These are all header files. Each process descriptor contains information about the current state of the process, address, list of open files, and the process priorities. Now this is the structure of your task structure. Fine. You check it out. These are the priorities given to the process, scheduling class, scheduling policy on which basis the process will schedule, linking parents, siblings, and the group. These all have the pointers. Kernel thread has a pointer for the thread information. Task structure has a pointer for physically task structure is allocated here, and the pointer to that task structure or that data structure. Similarly, kernel also has the pointer, and they are mutually interlinked. This is the data structure, task structure, and these are the various entries. These are few pointers. Each process descriptor, this is a descriptor. Each process descriptor contains many fields and some of pointers to the kernel structure. Now, these are the pointers to the kernel structures. These are all the kernel structures which may themselves include the fields that point to the structures. This is a Linux process descriptor. Fine, it is actually a table and maintaining each entry in the form of your task structure. Now these are the various states of these are the various states, like the process is created, the process is ready for execution. When it's ready, it can go for the scheduler for running. In the running, it will require some of the files. It can go for waiting mode. There's one of the states. So these are various states. These are the all process states. Starting from the created, ready, it will pipelined or it will lined up for the queue for running. When it's running, if it requires anything, any resource, it can go for a waiting queue, and the waiting queue wait for the resources. Once the waiting is over, it is again ready for execution. And once the process is over, it is terminated. So this is the process state diagram. It is also important, and you have already read in the operating system. This is a process family tree. Like for example, all the processes are descendant of the foremost parent is a init, and the init has a process ID of 1. So these are this straight line indicates the parent, these dotted lines sibling, these are the sibling, this dotted line sibling previous, children next, and this is actually a chart that indicate who is a parent, who is a sibling, what is the relation between parent and sibling, and the foremost parent ID, PID1, is given to the init 1. Similarly, process scheduling. Linux has two process scheduling. One is your time sharing algorithm and one is your real time algorithm. So two bases of the algorithm. One is time sharing. Time sharing means preemptive. Preemptive means that means once the time is allocated, the minimum time is once the time is given, preemptive, it can in between leave that process and start the process of lower time number. So preemptive, in between it can leave. In between it can leave one process and execute the process which has a lesser time. So that is called preemptive scheduling. Real time means it has a priority based scheduling. The processes which are giving the priorities, they are real time. So there are two algorithms, time sharing and real time. A process scheduling class defines which algorithm. It depends upon the kernel or the policy that which scheduling algorithm you want to run. Time sharing based on your priorities based credit systems. And basically it is two. One is for the time allocation and one is on the basis of your priority. So if the real time is this, the priority is between 0 to 99. And in the case of NICE, it can be 100 to 140. It uses the priority based preemptive scheduling algorithm. The process which have the highest priority, the CPU will go for that process, and that is why it's called preempted. The most priority process will execute the first, and that is called preemptive based on the priority. On the basis of time, then becomes a preemptive. Interactive tasks are assigned higher priority. Fine. So priority based preemptive with a global round robin scheduling. That means preemptive, in between it can lead the process. Round robin means on the basis of the time sharing, and that algorithm is called as your round robin algorithm. Each process have the priority. Processes with larger priority have larger time slabs, all basis of your time, and there is no starvation problem. No process will die. No process has to wait. That means no starvation. Every process will given the priority, every will be given the time of execution, depends upon the scheduling policy. And the process will go for the higher priority, which has a lesser time and which has a higher priority. Each process certain times of scheduling credits, new tasks will be chosen to run, process with the most credits selected. Every time a runner interrupts occur, the currently running process loses one credit. One is get the credit reaches to zero, it's suspended, and other process is chosen. That means a credit system policy will go on. Once it is done, like for example, a running mode is given to that process. So one credit it will lose, and it will keep on waiting unless until the second process is lined up with the more credits. Fine. So this is a numeral priorities like real time 0 to 99. Fine. Relative, this is 0 means highest priority and 140 means the lowest priority. This is a real time task. These are other, and these are the time quantums. Quantums means this is 10 milliseconds and this is your time span of, depends upon the time span, and this is about the priority. Find the lesser time span, the lowest one, and the highest one. This is priority basis and this is the time spans. Same scheduling algorithms, FIFO, first in, first out. Static priorities, you cannot change the priority in that one. Round robin, real time. The what time is allocated, that is fair by the CPU, and CPU will go for that process which has a lower time consumption, rather than, depends upon that round robin, whether it's go for a highest, it depends upon that will go for the higher time or a lower time. And other scheduling algorithms for the normal user. Preemptive means in between it can leave and go for the higher time or lower time, or depend upon the priority also. So priority determined on the base priority and the timing remaining in the quantum. So they are the few algorithms. It depends upon the kernel and the kernel policy, what kind of scheduling algorithms they want to adopt. Fine. So these are all your scheduling algorithms. Anything you want to ask? Anything you want to till now? We can discuss. Any query? These are just a gist. You can refer a book for other and details. So these are just a gist of that, how the kernel works, how the process tables are maintained, how the process maintain their states, descriptors, their structures, and the various scheduling algorithms. So basically scheduling algorithms depends upon the kernel policy, that what kind of it dims, and every algorithm has every time span, time complexity, and the priority to give to that project. Fine. Anything you want to ask in between, or shall I move forward? And the next one is your system calls. System calls are nothing but your all interfaces services provided by the OS. They are generally written in C or C++. mostly accessible by the programs. High level application APIs are there, and APIs that actually calls your system calls. So library functions, your executable programs, your system calls, your kernel, and your hardware. So these are all your system calls that are called by your program, and these are, it can be your library functions. Indirectly, these are all your library functions which are called by the user. And system calls are basically your hardware or user defined, and these are defined actually interact with your kernels, and kernel will indirectly interact with the hardware. So these are the few system calls. Fine, there are around 3 to 400 system calls. Like for example, you want to exit from the process or the terminal or the shell, then you use the command exit, and the function in the kernel return is sys underscore exit. Similarly, forking, you can also fork, you can divide a parent into subprocesses by a call called fork, and the system call is system underscore fork. Similarly, read, you are reading any variable or any console or any command prompt, then the system call is system read. For write this, for opening any file, system open, close, for mkdir, for every shell process, you have the system call. So these are the few examples of your system call. Similarly, parent are this one. This is your parent. This is the child processor. This is one system call. Waiting is another system call, and forking is another one. So forking means divide your parent process into multiple processes, and these are your there are two types of method developing our system call. One is the kernel module and one is the source code of Linux directly. Either you write the source code of Linux directly, or you can go for a kernel module, or you can heard of your this libraries. One is your exe and one is your DLLs. So same here. Fine. So this is your parent and child. That PID has, every parent has a PID, and this is your PID. You use the function fork. If the PID is equal to 0, then child process will be there, and else the parent process will be there. So this is the child process, and this is your parent process. Similarly, PID forking and PID should not, it should be equal to 0. That means new PID will be allocated, new allocated to child process, else it is a PID, a parent process. So the just function that for new PID will be allocated for your child process. If forking is done, then PID is 0, and then the child process will be there, and new PID will be allocated to a child process. And for the child process, it is now becomes a PPID. Parent ID will be allocated. PID becomes 0, and child will get the PPID, that is your parent process ID, and the new ID is given to the child process. So these are the few system calls like PID, fork, then wait PID, then receiving, then any signal actions, any returning from the signal, then examining the signal mask, any interrupt. These are all signals means interrupts or any waiting for the resources or any clock to be set, then alarm is there. When you call any suspension, you can go for the pause. So these are the few systems calls which can be used in between your programming, and you can use by these functions. So these are the all shell functions which can be called your further system calls. Whether it's a kill, you want to kill any process ID, you want to interrupt with any signal, suspend, or your pending status. Any process is still pending, so you can set. So these are few hardware level programmings with their parameters and with the functions. Fine. So these are the few system calls. Clear class. So this is you can able to, you will get both few examples of system calls here, and each and every call will explain every features. Signals are not in our level, so it is just a few commands which are there, that how to work with the signals. It is actually a hardware level, in which where hardware interrupts are there to stop, for suspensioning, for pausing up, for sleeping and suspending. So these are few signals. Signals are given by the kernel to the processors, that the signals are used for any kind of suspension or any kind of message or information to be given to the processor, then signals are used. Clear? Fine. So this is your system calls. Then we have to work with your debuggers. So one topic we are left with the debugger, that will be discussed in the next class, that how to work with your debuggers. Fine. So this is actually a few topics which are left in unit 4, that is the debugger. Otherwise, system calls. Do read about the system call, scheduling algorithms, various scheduling algorithms and their priorities. The process state is important. Fine. On this, questions has been asked, then what do you mean by the process descriptor? This is also very important, and the data structure which is used, that is your task structure. Paper, in the paper it been asked, these questions been asked. Process descriptors, the running state diagram, process state diagram of the process. What about the process management? This all discuss about the process management. And your kernel architecture, various spaces and the various threads which being run by your kernel. Anything you want to ask, anything you want to